Hello, welcome to RTV viewers. Today, this will be our third lesson on teaching English to the sheep. I am Kancha Ilaiah Shepherd doing this series of lectures. In the last two lectures, we have seen that how it is important to learn English in Indian village environment, around the nature, around the agricultural production, and within the village family and society environment. And in the second lecture, we saw how our ancestors domesticated animals and birds. Today, in the third lecture, we will see how our people have looked after animals, and through looking after animals, they built a civilization, economy, village system, and human social collectivity. Once our ancestors domesticated buffaloes, cows and bulls, birds, even dogs, and many other animal species and bird species, the number of animals which were living around human beings gradually increased. Each family began to have 10, 20, 30, 40 animals for their economic purpose. Some animals were giving meat, some animals were giving milk, some animals were tilling the land, some animals were useful for other purposes. But looking after animals is not an innocent or ignorant people's work. It requires skill, it requires understanding of animal behavior, it requires hard labor of the whole family from morning to evening. Take for example, in our villages, people take care of buffaloes, which give lot of milk in India. To take care of buffaloes, whole day, some human beings keep going along with them into green pastures or what they call meadows, wherever green grass is available, naturally growing from earth because of rainwater or other harvested water. Now, buffalo is a very, very difficult animal to be managed. You have to study each buffalo's psychology, you have to study its relationship to nature, whether buffalo tolerates sun or whether buffalo tolerates rain, or whether it is good to buffalo to make it sleep in the water when there is hot sun, and how to feed it, with what kind of grass or with what kind of grain, with what kind of water it needs to be fed, so that it can become more and more productive animal. And similarly, cow and bulls. For example, bull management is a very, very difficult process, because both bulls and he buffaloes were used for agricultural production, for tilling the land, and for other purposes like, pulling the carts, transporting the grain, and also milk and meat. People don't know that for a long time in Indian history, like the history of Chinese, the history of Europe, most people ate, buffalo, bull, even cow meat as a food that is very proteinous for human being. Not that human beings kill all animals for food just like that. Human beings are not mercilessly violent towards domesticated animals. Those who talk about, meat eaters as violent people are committing a great scientific mistake in terms of science. Take, for example, shepherds who grow sheep and who nurture them, sheep and goat, as a long-term family profession. And historically, shepherd is known as a human being, whether man or woman, equivalent to God. Why? Because shepherds, when they domesticated one animal, two animals, three animals, they started growing the herd. They started growing them in more numbers. And when they grew more in numbers, they will have to really look after what kind of diseases these animals are getting, what kind of wool cutting these animals required, what kind of male-female cohabitation that needs to be encouraged, and how to graze them in forests, in meadows, and so on and so forth. Now this shepherd does not kill all animals at one go for food, or does not sell all animals for money, for all animals for money just like that. What they do is, they grow hundreds of animals, and for food purposes of that community or village, they either butcher one animal for their own purpose once in a while, and they sell annually few animals, male animals particularly, for financial purposes. But the animal crop keeps growing on. They don't kill all animals for food purpose, or they do not destroy the animal, young ones, let us say the lamb, or see, for milking the cow, or milking the buffalo, or milking the goat, milking the sheep. They don't starve their children. They allow their children to survive with mother's milk, and some amount of milk they take. And in order to see that the milk productivity increases in the mother, they feed that what they call lactating mother with more protein food, with more other items that normal sheep or goat or buffaloes or cows are given. Now this needs a very scientific approach. Take, for example, another thing. When animal delivers its young one, animal suffers a lot. Animal delivery process is taken care by the animal husbanding man or woman or the shepherd with a lot of scientific medical approach. I personally knew how my father, my brothers, my relatives as shepherds used to carefully midwife a sheep or a goat when it is delivering. They used to use their fingers very carefully to gradually open up the vaginal tract of the animal and pull out the head of the lamb or the baby goat that was coming from the womb of mother. And after the mother delivers, they immediately feed the mother with green grass or some food. They make it drink water and they take care of the animal like, a woman who is taken care immediately after she delivers the baby. So, our shepherds, our headsmen, those who take them into forest, those who work around them, those who give them food and water, those who clean them occasionally, those who wash them, those who cut the wool of animals like sheep, they are not innocent. They are not ignorant people. They may be illiterate, but they are great human beings who survived our economy, our system, our villages, our culture. Now, it is from this they also imagined or constructed their own gods and goddesses. Take, for example, the shepherd communities. They have number of sheep related gods and goddesses in the community stories. And these gods and goddesses were not war heroes or not war heroines or those who were making love with each other like what they do in our cinemas these days. But they were the ones who collectively, wife and husband, has grown the crop of the sheep, have grown the other animal economy. See, there is a god called Birappa. There is a god called Mallanna. There is a goddess called Pochamma in the village. Now, these goddesses and gods are those who came from the animal economic evolution, those who have done great things in their animal economy or in their herding life or in their village life. They were respected more and more, and over a period of time they acquire the divine images. So we have various kinds of gods in the country, but the Indian civilization has forgotten the gods and goddesses that have emerged from our animal economic activity, our curing of the culture of curing of diseases. Take, for example, Pochamma as a goddess. Pochamma became a goddess because she discovered the herbal medicines like neem, like your tulsi plant, which was useful for certain things. The plants are not meant for worshipping, whereas plants were meant for using as medicines in order to cure both animal diseases as well as human diseases. Thus, the divine figures emerged from animal herding communities. Even today, among our tribal communities, among our shepherds, among our barbers, among our washing communities, there are several beliefs and divine practices that show us. For example, take the washing communities. Among the washing communities, there is a goddess called Gangamma. This goddess is known as water goddess. That they have worshipped water for the simple reason that water was being used for drinking, for bathing, and for washing animals all as a collective thing, and also growing crops. Now, thus, the animal economy was the key in building our villages. Therefore, in our schools, a lesson has to be introduced around how animals are taken care, how animals are headed, how animals are shepherded, and how the animal herders and the shepherds are greater human beings than those who do not involve in such economic activity. Now, after this third lesson, we will go to our fourth lesson about tilling the land. Thank you very much.